Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Swati and we are discussing English literature. So in the previous videos we have talked about Geoffrey Chaucer. We started with Geoffrey Chaucer. We have covered Middle Ages, Age of Revival, drama of Age of Revival, university wits. And now we are discussing William Shakespeare. We have covered his first and his second literary period as well as his third literary period. So if you have not seen those videos, make sure you watch them. The link is above. Make sure you watch them. They'll help you understand these videos better and of course Shakespeare in a better way. So we have discussed three of his literary periods. Now in this video, we'll talk about his fourth literary period, which was the last literary period, and he has written some very famous work in his last literary period. So the first work that we will be taking up is Timon of Athens. Timon of Athens, and the spelling would be Timon, Timon of Athens, Athens. Timon of Athens, and it was written in 1607. Timon of Athens is actually the story of Timon, who is an extravagant and ultimately he got bankrupt. So he is the one who has this habit of spending a lot of money. Eventually he is bankrupt, he has no money left with him. On the contrary, he has to pay back to people. And none of his friends helped him in that situation. So he started living in the woods, he started living in the forest, and there he found gold, like lots of gold. But eventually he realized that, money and all those things are just materialistic things and they're not that crucial. So he wandered off, he started wandering, he started going from one place to another. And eventually he died, but not before writing his own epitaph. Epitaph is like in Christians they have this thing that they bury the body and they have this tombstone, and on that tombstone there they write some lines about the person. So he wrote those lines for himself, and in those lines he wrote about his hatred towards mankind. So this is the story of Timon of Athens. The question that they have asked from this particular work is about this guy with the name of Flavius. Flavius. Flavius was actually the servant. He's a steward. He was a steward. He was a faithful steward to Timon. So Flavius, Flavius, is a faithful servant to Timon. This is the story of Timon of Athens. Like the plays written, a few of the plays written in this particular phase are really important. For example, Tempest and a few more, but most of them are not very significant in the context that they have not asked much questions from these plays. But of course, at Shakespeare, they can ask anything. So it was about Timon of Athens. The second work written in this particular this particular literary period is Coriolanus, and the spelling would be Corio, Corio, Coriolanus, Lanus. So Coriolanus, it was written in 1608, and it's about Coriolanus, of course, and he's a very brave journal, but he has this one fault. He gets angry very fast, very quickly, at slightest provocation. Like, for example, someone comes and tries to trigger him up, and he gets triggered up and he gets very angry, he gets very built up, he gets very agitated, and he has to react. And that reaction has actually proved harmful to him in many scenarios in the past and of course in the present as well. So, because of his anger, Coriolanus is banished from Rome. He is not allowed to enter the boundaries of Rome. So, in a kind of protesting this rule, he actually joined the opposing army. So, he joined the army of Aufidius. Aufidius. Aufidius was the one who was fighting against Rome. Earlier, Coriolanus, he was a general in Roman army, but when he was banished from the Rome, so he joined the opposing army and he started fighting for Aufidius. But with the passage of time, his popularity started increasing. He started gaining fame and importance. So Aufidius, the opposing ruler, he got he started feeling insecure. He didn't want anyone else to take the position he was at. So he got Coriolanus killed. And he died, but he was given a good funeral. He was given a hero funeral, but of course he died. So his anger and his momentarily decisions made in the moment led him to his death. This is the story of Coriolanus. He has written this another play with the name Pericles. Pericles is about and it's an incest story. It's not that important, so I'll not talk about it in detail. But Pericles was written in 1608, so it's important for you to remember that. Next thing that he has written is Cymbeline. Cymbeline was written in 1610, and it is about the exploitation of Cymbeline. Cymbeline was a king's daughter, and she has a suitor. There's a guy she's in love with, but the stepmother, she doesn't want them to be together, so she tried to poison them. This is a story of how all these events worked out. Next, and the most important play of this particular age is The Winter's Tale. The Winter's Tale was written in 1611. Winter's Tale is actually the question that they have asked is about the inspiration of this particular book. So Winter's Tale is taken from Alcestis. Alcestis, that the spelling would be Alcestis. Alcestis or Alcestis. You can say it in any way you like. Both the pronunciations are correct. So Alcestis is the inspiration for Winter's Tale. And the story is of Polixenes. Polixenes, he's a ruler, and he invites the wrath of his friend who suspects him of infidelity with his wife Hermione. So there is this guy with the name of Polixenes, and he has a friend with the name of Lenetus. Lenetus believes that he has slept with his wife Hermione. So Lenetus imprisoned his wife and daughter Perdita. The daughter was raised by a shepherd. Perdita was wooed by Prince Florizel. Prince Florizel was actually the son of Polixenes, and their love was not approved. But eventually, in the end, king and daughter are reunited, and the love story also worked out. So the story is that there is a guy Polixenes, and he has a friend with the name of Alcestis, with the name of Lenetus, Leontes. Lenetus believed that Polixenes has slept with his wife Hermione. So believing that he has slept with his wife Hermione, he sent the daughter and his wife to imprisonment. He banished them. So the daughter was raised by a shepherd. So she didn't know that she's king's daughter. With the passage of time, she grew up as well as son of Polixenes, and the name of son of Polixenes is Florizel, 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 and they both fall in love with each other, but their love was not approved, of course. But eventually, by the end of the play, the daughter and the king, they are reunited, and the love story also worked out. So this is the story of The Winter's Tale. There is another work with the name of The Tempest, and The Tempest is like one of the most famous, most important play, and you must have heard of the name. Let me tell you something about the characters of the play. So the first character is Prospero. Prospero is actually a magician. He was a king also, but to know more about magic and to explore magic more, he left his kingdom to his brother, and he went to woods to discover more. His brother eventually disposed him completely and exiled him and his daughter Miranda to the on an island for 12 years. So he left his kingdom in the hope that someday he'll come back, but his brother, whose name is Antonio, he banished him, he exposed him for like 12 years on an island, and Miranda, his daughter, was with him. There is Ariel. Ariel is a fairy, faithful spirit. He throughout the play was a very faithful. He proved to be very faithful to Prospero. Next character is Miranda. As I've told you, she is the daughter of Prospero, and she came to the island when she was just 3 years old. Then there is Caliban. Caliban is actually son of deceased witch. There was a witch on the island, and Caliban was his son, and he tried to rape Miranda. Then there is guy Alonso. Alonso is father of Ferdinand, and Ferdinand is the guy who eventually falls in love with Miranda. There is another character with the name of Gonzalo. Gonzalo is King Alonso's advisor. He's advisor to King Alonso, as well as he's a friend. He's loyal friend to Prospero as well. So they Prospero and Miranda, they are living on this island, and Caliban and Ariel are their helping hands. They are their helping spirits. So they are living there. One day, these king they came on the island. Alonso and his son Ferdinand, they visited the island, and Ferdinand, he fall in love with Miranda, and their love story did work out. By the end of the play, the brother Antonio, he realized his mistake, that he should not have banished or exposed his brother like that, and he took them back to the kingdom and is again the king. This is the story of the Tempest. You must have heard of this line, and they have asked us many times, and there is a play on this line as well. So the line is Brave New World. Brave New World is actually a line taken from the Tempest, and there is a play written by the same name by another writer, which we'll talk about in coming videos. So Brave New World is the line taken from the Tempest. And Caliban, the servant who tried to rape Miranda, he is actually associated to Earth. This is a question that they have asked. Association of Caliban. So Caliban is associated to Earth. There is another quote from this particular play, and the quote is, "What's past is in prologue." What's past is prologue. जो बीत चुका है वो बीत चुका है. That is prologue. It cannot change, and it has already happened. So do not even try to change it. There is one another quote which we can imply today actually, and the quote would be, "Hell is empty, all the devils are here." Hell is empty and all the devils are here. कि नर्क में तो सारे डेविल्स खत्म हो चुके हैं, कोई नहीं बचा, सब डेविल्स धरती पर आ चुके हैं. This was the story of the Tempest, and the last play that William Shakespeare has written is Henry the Eighth. Henry the Eighth was actually written in 1613, and it is a story of Henry VIII's courtship of Anne Boleyn and his subsequent separation from Catholic Church. So this is the journey of Henry VIII and his courtship to Anne Boleyn and his separation from the Catholic Church. So this is the last literary period of William Shakespeare. We have covered all of his 37 plays. See, they do not ask you questions on specific plays. For example, they'll not ask you about the story as much as they might ask you about the important characters or the quotes. So I have covered most of the questions that they have discussed that they have asked in previous year NET exams, and the summaries we have talked about. We have talked about important characters. We have talked about the clowns, the servants. They ask questions on the clowns. We have talked about Falstaff. I told you that he appeared in 4 of the plays and all those things. Now it's your responsibility to write them and to make your notes and make sure you remember them in the future. So that was about the 4 literary periods of Shakespeare. Before we move on to the sonnets, let's talk about a few important things. So I have seen that they ask you questions about the inspiration of play. So let me tell you about a few few sources. For example, Comedy of Error, it is taken from Plato's work with the name of Menaechmi. 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 Then he has written As You Like It, and when we talk about Thomas Lodge, I did tell you that he has taken As You Like It from Thomas Lodge's Rosalind. Then Romeo Juliet is taken from Arthur Brooks' verse poem The Tragical History of Romeo and Juliet. Arthur Brooks' poem The Tragic History of Romeo and Juliet. Julius Caesar and other Roman plays are taken from Thomas North's translation of Plutarch's Life of the Noble Grecians and Romans. All of his Roman plays, Julius Caesar, etc., they are taken from Thomas North's translation of Plutarch's life. Then Macbeth is taken from stories from Holinshed Chronicles of Scotland. Macbeth, a very famous tragic play we discussed in the third literary period, is taken from Holinshed's Chronicles. And he has written Pericles also, and I did tell you that Pericles is taken from John Gower's Confessio Amentis. John Gower's Confessio Amentis. So this was about the fourth literary period of William Shakespeare. We'll talk about his sonnets, which are equally important in that coming video. If you have any doubts, make sure you leave them in the comment section down there, or if you have any suggestions, they are most welcome. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends, and I'll try to keep on making these videos. Thank you so much. Have a good day.